And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
There are some games that when I set them up and get them together, I think, wow, this game is going to be good. Far Space Foundry is one of those games. I was really impressed with how this game looked. It had some cool pieces. It had this both retro 1950s spaceship look to it. Lots of different tokens, this colorful board and everything. So I was very excited about playing this. I realized once I read the rules that it was an economic, sell goods, get goods type game. But I like those games sometimes, so let's take a look and see if I like this one. This is the board setup for the game, and I'm still not sure why the board needed to be all these different pieces, because they all go the same way. You might have one less of these when there's a number of players, but anyhow, it is what it is. This is side A. Everything's going to get flipped over halfway through the game. You have two asteroids here that you're going to be mining. This is kind of like your Foundry where you're mining stuff, and then each player starts with a freighter card where they're going to be putting the different things that they mine on that card. Players have a deck of cards that match the different pilots that they have. These pilots have different numbers. They also have a commander who they will start with in their hand. The different pilots are, you can see the green ones have a different look to them. These guys apparently let grass grow out of their armor, and then these guys let rocks grow out of their armor. Well, anyhow, on your turn, a player is going to play a card from their hands. Let's say I play this number 4 card. That means I'm going to be dealing with dock number 4. Now I can either put a shuttle into this dock or remove one from it. Now when I put a shuttle into a dock, I'm going to get to transport a good from one of the asteroids to my Foundry here. So I might pick a red one and put it here. Now if I play a number 4 and there's already a shuttle there, then boop, boop, it gets bounced to number 5. And then when that happens, I get to do 2 goods. So if I play a number 4 later on, boop, 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 I'll get to do 3 goods, and so on and so forth. Obviously, if all the shuttles are full, then you can't do anything. And you are also allowed to pay one of these credits here, which are nice metal coins, by the way. You're able to pay one of those to remove or add a shuttle. So things can, for example, this is the way it looks, and the only card I want to play is a 5. That's pretty bad for me. However, you could also remove a shuttle. So when you go to remove a shuttle, you then get to take 1 good from here and place it into one of your freighters. So I can do that. However, if I want to remove one and there's one in number 4, so I go, I can't, there's nothing there, I bounce over and now I remove one from the 5 and I can take 2 goods. So it's the same thing but removing or adding. So on your turn you can remove or add, it's up to you. And of course you may have no options. For example, the very first player has nothing out there, so they have to add a shuttle unless they pay a credit to put a shuttle out and then immediately remove it. Now, as you do this, whichever dock you end up using, there's special abilities on those docks. Several of the docks allow you to spend blue to convert a red into a purple resource. Some of the docks, like the green ones here, let you sell a red for 2 of these credits. And credits, as you can see, are very useful. And then 2 of the docks let you go to the cantina, where you can see the Boths play in their band, and you can spend this to hire an alien. When you hire an alien, you'll draw the top 4 cards from this. You're going to put one of these in your deck. You'll notice that these have different numbers. These have X's on them instead of numbers like your commander. That means you can roll the die and see where they go. This is done using this die, so you can roll the die and see what number you have, and then the die will stay face up on the table, so when someone plays an X in the future, they can use that same number or re-roll it and take the roll of the die. But anyhow, you'll get one of these guys. You'll pick one of the 4 that you'll add. Each of them also comes with a special ability that they can do on them. And then whichever one you take, you're going to take a ship that matches that person's type too, and you'll take the top 1 from the deck. So each of these has a ship that's 1 through 4. So I'll take this ship, and now I have an extra freighter. You can take multiple alien commanders of the same color, but you're only allowed to have a freighter of each color. So the most freighters you'll ever have is 4. And that's basically it. You're going to keep doing this until everyone has played their cards. When you're done playing a card, you draw a new card, and eventually all your cards will be played. If you take alien cards, you might have a few more turns than someone else. Then, when that happens, I take everything and flip it to side B. You'll notice that side B looks really similar to side A. Now, there's a couple differences. First of all, these get emptied out, so you better have resources on your freighters that you have, because now you're going to be doing the same thing with the shuttles, and you're going to be taking goods from your freighters and putting them into the foundries, and then you'll be taking from these foundries and you're converting into goods. And this is the main way you're going to get points over the course of this game. So these goods, there's lots of different good cards actually, and you'll have different ones out. So each game is going to be different. So each of the goods will give, like these are 2 points each, and a blue and a purple can be changed once into 2 of them. So if you have a blue and a purple, you change into 2 of them, that's worth 4 points. 2 purples here change into 2 of these, which, 2 purples change into 1 of these, which is 5 points, but you can do that twice. So if you have 4 purples, you can change into 2 of these for 10 points. One of these changes into 2 of these for a point. One of these changes into 1 of these, so you can do that twice. And each of those are 2 points. Here, these 2, a blue and a purple, can be changed into a gun twice for 4 points. And again, there's different styles and different types. So you're going to be taking these, and these will be put in here, and then you will be sending stuff from here back to your ships by removing them. Again, that adding and removing is done just like the other side. And this will happen until everyone's out of cards again. Then stuff that's in people's freighters is what's going to be worth points this time. There are some special abilities though. First of all, you're going to want to go to these blue spots here on the board, because that's where you will change the stuff into the goods. You will then go to these charging stations, and you can take goods and you can charge them, which makes them worth an extra point at the end of the game. And you also can upgrade your ships. Every ship can be upgraded into its special super duper dazzle side, and you lose 2 points at the end of the game for each ship that you haven't upgraded, which I'm not really sure how that's much different than saying you get 2 points for upgrading them. But anyhow, I digress. So you're going to continue to do that, and then you count up your points. Each red, blue, and purple that you have is worth 1 point. Each of these products down here is going to be worth the points that it says on the card. If they're yellow, they're worth extra point. Each different type of item is worth a point, so the more items you get are points. Credits that you have left over are worth points. You probably want many of those because you need to spend them. If you have a freighter that's not full, you lose 2 points, and if the freighter is not upgraded, you lose 2 points. So taking these big freighters is great because you can fit more goods on them, but you might have a harder time filling them with goods and or upgrading them. Whoever has the most points is the winner of the game. I should also mention that the game does come with the Ether Ore expansion, which is a clever name, which has all sorts of other goods in it: orange, white, green, and brown. I'm using the colors instead of their actual names. And then a couple other rules, and you can change them in different goods. They just kind of add some more complexity to the game. That's how you play. Well, let's start off by saying, don't like it, but let me tell you why. There's some minor things. First of all, I really don't like how the board has all these different pieces. Why not just have a board that you can then flip? I had to flip all these different pieces halfway through the game. Having one board to flip seems like it would have been simpler to do. I'm not sure why all these different pieces are there. I guess that's so it's modular, so later on, so it looks cool on the table maybe? I don't know, I just find it a little bit fiddly. And it's also a little bit fiddly at the beginning of the game when you put out those goods and you got to find the ones that match those. Since there's a lot of different types, finding all those matching ones takes a bit of time. That's all minor stuff though. I do like the look of the game, like I said. I like the artwork. I like the asteroids. It just has this cool look to it. Gameplay itself. Just to be clear, I hate the gameplay of this game. That may actually be a mild word for this. This is one of those games that as I played, I was like, oh, this one's really interesting, let's play it. And as time went by, I was gripping the table. I was just so angry at how much I disliked the game. Now, I am very cautious to say here that I am very careful not to say that the game is bad. I don't think the game is bad, but it is definitely not for me. I just personally don't see the fun of taking goods from here to here, then taking those goods from here to here, then taking those goods from here to here, changing them to something else, and then taking them back to here. That is so not fun. That definitely feels like work, especially the way this game has. It has this shuttle transportation system, which I said, you put it there and you can bounce around, and if there's a shuttle there, and so you can get multiple chains and such. First of all, that makes absolutely no sense thematically. What does that even mean? There's a shuttle in the spot, so now I can transport more? Huh? Okay, but let's forget about that. I don't really care too much about that. But it's just so frustrating because, especially when you play a 4-player game, you have no idea what the shuttles are going to be in and out of there until your turn. So you can do zero planning. You really can't plan ahead. You can't set yourself up. You just wait till it comes your turn and say, okay, these are the numbers I have. These are the shuttles that are out there. I'm going to try to bounce these off and get the certain number I need, especially because at the end of the game, you have to fill up shuttles. And when you're delivering goods to shuttles, you can only deliver to one of them. You can't split it up. So, okay, the shuttle has 3 spots in it. I want to try to get 3 things shipped in. But if I do only 2, then later on I need to do 1. And and then, upgrading your ships. Hey, you know what happens when you upgrade a ship? Absolutely nothing, but you need to do it or you lose 2 points at the end of the game. You need to fill stuff up. Why? Because if you don't, you lose points at the end of the game. And again, I'm not really sure why they're negative instead of just positives if you do it, but I just found that to be this frustrating over and over and over, and the game is really repetitive because that's all you do. You are adding a shuttle or taking a shuttle away, and moving goods here, and moving goods there, and moving goods there. The killer for me, though, is that halfway through the game, you flip the board over, and you can honestly see if you're going to win or not. Now, obviously, if everyone's playing very similarly, you can't tell. But if you're not doing well, you know at that point, I cannot win. Well, how's that fun? That's halfway through the game. You're like, oh, yeah, he has way more purples than I do, so he's going to be able to sell those. There's no way for me to get more purples at this point. There's no way for me to get more stuff. The asteroids are gone, so I'm just going to take what I have and get the most possible points that I can, upgrade all my ships and fill them up and hope that that's enough for me to win the game. Wow, I like how this game looks. I don't mind the deck building. I like the rolling of the die sometimes, even though that's lucky. And I even the moving in the shuttles on and off, even though I hate that thematically, the mechanisms kind of sound, except for the fact that you really can't set yourself up. Turn 1, the player has to put 1 on or off. The second person turn 1, the player can only add a shuttle. Turn 2, that player can add a shuttle or take 1 off. Not bad. But if they take 1 off, then the next player has to add 1 because they have no other option. And so near the end of the game, you're trying to transport stuff like, oh, okay, I need to pull some off, and you get it, and all the shuttles are full. Ooh, you can pay a credit, which is a point, to take a shuttle off to do the action that you might want to do, but it has a very frustrating feel. I do know a lot of people who will like this. Obviously, some of my reviewers in the Dice Tower Network absolutely love this game. I don't know what else to tell you, that they're wrong. Well, no, they're not wrong. They love it, but I couldn't stand it. And neither could many of the people I played it with. I think this meets a very certain criteria of people, but for me, I want my games to be fun and entertaining, and this one felt too much like work. Dice Tower Judgment, I really did not like it.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!
There.